Hey there. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can attract qualified business loan leads using Facebook ads. Now, if you're a business owner, you're a business lender, you've been running meta ads over the last couple of years, or you're just getting into it and you're starting to see the same garbage, bad credit, low revenue business owners who've just been turned down by everybody else and are basically just hoping, wishing, and praying that somebody says yes, one of your lending partners says yes. I'm going to show you exactly why that's happening in this video. And I promise you, it's not just your targeting settings, it's not your pixel, it's not your form questions necessarily, and it's not because Meta does not work for this industry. Before we dive into it, if you don't know me, my name is Isaac Wood. I have a Wall Street lending background. I was personally involved in underwriting and funding over $100 million in loans at a company called Ladder Capital, based in New York City. The last few years, I've been running lead generation programs, specifically working with business lenders and business loan brokers. And we've generated qualified leads, up to 100 leads a week for our clients all across the United States, with teams ranging in size up to 80 plus sales reps. So I understand both sides of this equation. Basically, what that means is, understanding credit, what fundable business owners and borrowers actually look like. And then on the other side, like how to actually generate the leads, how to actually get high quality, fundable businesses into your pipeline, into your CRM, so you can actually turn those into funded deals. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what's going on and how to fix it. All right, so let's talk about what most lenders and brokers are doing when they start to get bad leads from Meta. And the first thing usually is they say, hey, my form is having problems. It's not working. And I need to add more questions, or maybe I need to remove some questions, and maybe I need to ask for revenue earlier in the form, or perhaps I need to add it later. I'll filter some people out. So they spend time, hey, just spend the afternoon tweaking their form, moving those questions around and adding a revenue threshold here, removing a question there, and they think, hey, this is going to solve the issue. They haven't. The second thing is, hey, it's my pixel. My pixel is dirty. I need to start fresh. New pixel, new ad account, clean slate. And so they just blow up their campaigns. They blow up their previous ad account. They start fresh. They start new. And you know what happens? They start to get the same leads. These same bad credit, same low revenue, and the same people who aren't going to get funded today, tomorrow, or in 1 year from now. And that's still coming up time and time again. Now, when I'm talking to brokers and lenders, usually another thing that they're telling me is the third thing here. And this is a very, very common one. They say, hey, I need to update my targeting. Interest stacks are wrong. The audience is too broad. And so they start adding more interest, narrowing down specifically what they're looking for, spending hours inside of the ads manager, just trying to tell Facebook exactly who to find. Now, here's the thing about all three of these. They're not wrong. These things do matter to some degree, but they matter much less than what I'm about to share with you. These are really used for fine tuning over time. They're the last mile. So if you're spending all of your time here, you're completely ignoring the biggest constraint inside of any sort of advertising campaign, specifically within Meta. And I get why people go here first. These fixes, they feel productive, they're easy, you can do them in an afternoon, and you feel like you're really solving the problem. But you're not advancing your skills as a marketer, as an advertiser. You're not pushing the ball forward when it comes to creating a better, higher quality campaign. I like to say you're just rearranging your deck chairs, right? You're not actually getting new furniture, making it look all fresh and new. You're literally just taking the same dirty, old, rusted deck chairs, moving them around, and still getting you the same result. And you're wondering why. And so the real problem is existing upstream from all of these things here. And it starts before anyone ever sees your form, before the pixel fires, before you create different interest stacks and different targeting inside of Meta. And the real problem is upstream from all of that. And it starts before you ever see the form, before you ever have a pixel firing, and before you ever have to create any adjustments inside of your ads manager. And so here's what's changed about Meta. If you've been anywhere on social media, you've looked into Facebook and Meta advertising the last year, you've heard of Andromeda. And this is the thing that most people just still have not fully absorbed in the post Andromeda world. Basically, what that means is Facebook's AI algorithm now has over 50,000 data points on every single user on the platform. Think about what that means. And think about if you can even name 50,000 things about yourself. Oh, wait, you probably can't. Right. And so here is what exactly that means. It knows, hey, their income bracket. It knows exactly what their spending behavior is. It knows about their financial history, their business activity, their browsing habits, what they click on, what they scroll past, what they engage with, and it has built a more detailed profile of every single user on the platform, more detailed than most people know about themselves, right? And because of that, Facebook doesn't necessarily need you to tell you exactly who to target anymore. The old playbook, building the interest stack, and you want to stack lookalike audiences on top of each other, you want to layer in some demographic filters. You even used to be able to target people based on revenue. You can't do that necessarily anymore. So that playbook is largely obsolete. And so Facebook's AI is now smarter than all of that. It's going to find that audience pocket irrespective of any of your settings. So if your targeting settings don't control the algorithm anymore, then what does? The answer, messaging. In terms of your messaging, whatever your ad says, the words, the visuals, if it's just a text or if it's a video, you have your hook, your offer, the framing of your ad, right? Facebook reads all of that and it uses that to find people who are going to react and take action based on what they know about you and what they know about their users, right? So the algorithm is essentially asking who on this platform is most likely to engage with this ad creative and with this specific message. And then it goes and finds those people at scale every single day, every minute of the day, right? So think about what this means if you're a lender who's currently running ads. You're not controlling your targeting in the ad settings, right? You're controlling it inside of your ad creative. And so every single word within that ad creative is a signal. Every video frame is a signal. And all of those signals are telling Facebook exactly what kind of borrower to put in front of your offer. Now, if your signal says, hey, target desperate business owners, you get desperate borrowers. If your signal says, hey, go find me established, well run business owners, these are fundable, serious operators, then you'll go and you'll get that. And it's not that complicated in theory, but actually getting the execution right is where most people actually do it wrong. And so most people are falling flat. And that's what we're going to get into right now. So let me show you what bad messaging looks like inside of this industry. And I want to use extreme examples on purpose because the logic is a lot easier to see when it's very obvious. But I promise you the same dynamic plays out in subtle ways in almost every single ad that's running throughout Meta right now. So for the first example here, let's say your ad says something like, get a loan even when other banks say no, right? Now, think about what this phrase is actually communicating. It's not just talking to borrowers, it's talking to Facebook's algorithm. And it's basically saying is, hey, find me people whose banks have already turned down. Find me people in financial distress. Find me people who are desperate for capital and can't find it anywhere else. And that's exactly who shows up. Borrowers who have recent defaults, people with 480 credit score, operators with no revenue, or people who are way underwater with way more expenses than revenue, right? Just to make payroll. These aren't necessarily bad people. They're just not fundable. And your ad just told Facebook to go find all of these types of people. Example 2, bad credit, no problem. We still fund you. The same issue. You're just broadcasting to the entire algorithm, hey, I'm looking for more people with bad credit. And basically what you're saying to Meta is, hey, send me those people with bad credit is fine. It's telling Facebook, hey, bad credit doesn't matter to me. Continue to send them to me. Meta sees that as a signal, and it's going to continue to send you people who have bad credit. Meta is very efficient in doing this. Example 3, loans for businesses of all sizes, no minimum revenue, right? This one's like sneaky because it sounds honestly, obviously bad, but it sounds inclusive. You're casting a wide net, but that's exactly the problem, right? You've told Facebook there are literally no filters here. Anybody qualifies. So Facebook will go and find anybody. And this is just the example, right? And you call a guy who started his business 3 months ago, minimum revenue or no revenue at all, who wants a loan that's $5 million. Now, here's the thing, and this is the important nuance. A lot of messaging is not this obvious. Most bad messaging lives inside of a gray zone. So it technically speaks to your ideal customer, your ideal borrower in this case, but it also speaks to everyone else at the exact same time. And that's where most lenders are going to be stuck. Their messaging is broad enough to attract fundable business owners, but it's also broad enough to attract those who are not fundable and would not qualify for their products. So it's not pushing away the ones who aren't qualified. So you think about it this way, and it just says something like, hey, need working capital for your business? Well, yeah, every business in the United States needs working capital to grow their business, right? The fundable ones and the unfundable ones. You've said nothing that separates the two groups. So Facebook will serve your ad to both groups. And as a result, you're going to get both. And then your sales team spends the entire day calling leads, sorting through them, figuring out who's actually a good fit and who's not a good fit. And this is expensive. It's honestly demoralizing for the team. It's a waste of time. It's inefficient in both time, and you're obviously just wasting your money on bad leads that don't turn to funded deals, ultimately crushing your total cost to acquire a new customer. Ultimately, all of this is completely avoidable. And so the goal with this shift is to get specific. You want to get specific enough that the wrong type of business person, a bad fit borrower, does not ever even want to click on the ad in the first place. And they know, hey, that's not me. I wouldn't qualify for that anyway. And they ultimately just continue to keep scrolling. You want them to self-select out before they ever hit your landing page or your form, because every single unqualified person who reaches your page, your form, and into your CRM is a complete waste of time, money, and team morale. So here's the framework that I want you to take away after watching this video. And this is relevant for all of your marketing messaging, whether that's in your content, whether that's on your landing page, in your advertisements, in your email marketing. It's all going to be relevant here. And so here's the framework. So you want to ask yourself these two questions. Question one, does this speak to my ideal customer? And this requires you to really understand your ideal customer to a very specific degree, right? Let's get specific here. So they're a business owner, they're not an employee, they've been operating for at least a year, ideally longer, they're doing real revenue, the absolute minimum 200K in annual revenue, probably more. They have a legitimate need for capital, expansion capital, equipment, inventory, hiring. They're growing and they need fuel. They're trying to grow beyond their current capacity. They have decent credit, right? Usually 580 minimum in most cases. It doesn't have to be perfect. They just can't have completely subprime credit. And they have expectations that this is not a free handout. They understand they're going to have to pay for a quality product. So when you're building an ad and you're building ad creative, you need to understand I am writing specifically to that person, to that business owner, to that borrower. Does it address a pain point that they're actively looking to solve? Does it describe a result that they actually want? And so that's question one. And most lenders really just think, hey, does this speak to my ideal customer? But that's the thing. Even when you nail question one, you still have to disqualify leads, and that could lead to disaster. So question two, does this kick out my disqualified borrower, right? Your disqualified borrower is everything opposite of what we just outlined as the ideal fit customer. Under revenue, bad credit, recent defaults, stacking loans, just looking for a way out, looking for a light at the end of the tunnel, looking for some gift from God, right? These people exist on Meta in huge numbers. And if your messaging doesn't actively repel them, they will find your ad, they will click on it, and they will get inside of your CRM and start to waste your sales team's time. The mistake that most people make is that they focus on speaking to their ideal customer, that they forget to repel the bad fit and close the door on everybody else. And so those two things are not the same. You can speak to your ideal customer without pushing away your disqualified borrower if your messaging, again, if it's too broad. Think about it like this. Does your ad say something like, do you need working capital to grow your business? That speaks directly to your ideal customer. But it also speaks to the guy who's 3 months behind on rent, who just started, who's stacking his fourth MCA and desperately needs cash just to keep the lights on. Both of those people need working capital. Your messaging just has not separated them. So both of them click, both of them come through, and now you're sorting them out, wasting time when you could be allocating your resources on a higher quality lead, a qualified lead that could actually turn into a funded borrower. So when your messaging is truly dialed in, both things happen at once. Your ideal customer and your ideal borrower thinks, hey, this is exactly for me. And your disqualified borrower thinks, you know what? This isn't me. I'm going to keep scrolling. They don't click, they don't fill out your form, and they don't get in your CRM and waste your time. That's when your cost per funded deal starts to drop. And when your team's contact rate goes up, that's when the math really starts working. That's when your system gets humming. How do you build messaging that speaks directly to your ideal customer and also repels a disqualified borrower at the same time? It starts with deeply understanding both profiles, not just your ideal customer profile. You also need to get crystal clear on exactly who you don't want. What does your disqualified borrower look like? What are they saying? What are they searching? What are they clicking on? What are their pain points? What languages are they responding to? Because you need to make sure that your messaging does not accidentally use any of it. Then you look at every element of your ad, not just the copy. You want to look at the hook, the headline, the visual, the offer, every single frame. And every single one of these elements is either attracting your ideal customer, your disqualified borrower, or both. And so here's a useful test. If for every single line in your ad, just ask yourself this simple question. Would someone who can't qualify for this relate to this? The answer is yes. You need to get more specific because both groups relate to it, then both groups will click. Now, here's something important. I'm not going to show you our exact ad copy because that would defeat the purpose. The point isn't to copy the messaging. It's to understand the principle well enough that you can build your own version of it for your specific situation, your specific loan sizes, and your borrower profile. What I can tell you though, that the result of getting this right is dramatic. We screen out 93% of people who hit our funnel. So what that means is 93%. That means for every 100 people who see our ads and engage with them, 93 don't make it through. So only 7 do. So of those 7, those are the ones that our sales teams are actually engaging with. They actually want to talk to us. That means median loan size of 55K, 200K minimum annual revenue, 580 minimum credit score, 1 year in business, no defaults, business bank account. That's what dialed in messaging does. Now, I said earlier that your pixel is maybe 5 to 10% of the equation. And I want to come back to that because it does matter, just not in the way that most people think. Your pixel is not going to save bad messaging, but when your messaging is right, your pixel becomes incredibly powerful. And here's why. Our pixel only fires when someone who is qualified fills out our qualification form, not when they land on the page in the first place, not when they start filling it out, only when they make it all the way through, meaning once they've answered all 14 questions correctly, they verified their phone number with a one-time password, meaning they have a valid email address and a valid phone number. So our pixel is exclusively trained on qualified borrowers, and every single data point that goes back to Meta is a true fundable business owner, not a tire kicker, not somebody who doesn't have revenue or has bad credit, right? And that means over time, Meta gets smarter and smarter and smarter and starts to really understand exactly who it is we want and starts to find more people exactly like those high quality borrowers who've made it through in the first place. And that's a compounding advantage. And so every lead that comes through makes our next batch better and better and better. So compare that to running ads on your own. You haven't built out this filter if you haven't dialed in your messaging. Your pixel is training on anybody who enters your form, anybody who enters anybody who clicks on your ad gets your pixel qualified or unqualified. And so Meta is learning from the good data and the bad data, and it's getting muddied together. It's creating brown signals, not clear green signals. And with unclear signals, you're just going to continue to have more challenges in targeting good fit leads down the line. Even if you do happen to improve your messaging, you're going to have to claw back the negative data feedback that you've gotten from the challenges in the first place. And so that's why messaging is the first thing you want to fix. That's why it comes first. Once you get that messaging right, then your pixel amplifies it, not the other way around. Let me put some real numbers on this. We generate over 100 qualified leads a week for our clients. They include business funding companies of up to 80 sales reps and some of the biggest names in the market. These guys are established players in the alternative business lending space. And so here's what our clients are seeing on average: no retainers, no ad spend, only paying for qualified leads. Every lead is one-time password verified, meaning they actually confirm their phone number with a text. So every single person has a real number that they have access to before the lead is ever submitted into the CRM. So that means real people, higher contact rates, typically seeing between around a 4% funded rate from every lead, meaning one of every 25 typically funds. So if you're a lender or a broker who can fund between 50,000 up to $2 million and you want to stop sorting through bad leads, you're looking for a lead source that helps increase your funded borrowers, click the link in the description below, book a call with us where we'll talk about your current situation. We'll talk about how we could potentially help you. If there's a fit, we'll talk about how to get started, start delivering you qualified exclusive leads that turn into funded deals. Otherwise, we will refer you to somebody else who can help you as well. So that's it for this video. I'll talk to you in the next one.